This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It's a tornado coming down. That is a tornado coming down.
Cameras rolling as severe weather moved through central Indiana, leaving behind a path of damage in its trail. This morning, cleanup and recovery efforts are underway in Pendleton, where spotters reported seeing a tornado.
We have got team coverage in Madison County this morning. Our Rafael Sanchez leading our coverage on the ground in Pendleton. He's got the latest on the damage reports in just a few moments. Our Alyssa Donovan also live this morning as we look at the recovery efforts now getting underway. Thanks for joining us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. We'll get right to the storm cleanup in just a minute. But first, meteorologist Todd Clausen is here with a look at today's forecast. A lot of people will be hoping for calmer weather as the repair process starts, Todd.
Yeah, it's completely quiet out there this morning, and that is the good news for damage control and getting the debris out of the streets. And just keep in mind, we're focusing a lot on Pendleton where the tornadoes touched down, but there were other strong thunderstorms up to the north, and there's debris in other communities as well. So no matter where you are, really north of Interstate 70, just give yourself some extra time this morning as you travel across, especially some of these back roads in central Indiana, because there could be some trees down or large branches that you may have to go around. So again, it's quiet this morning. Skies are partly cloudy across the area. Temperatures are pretty mild. As far as storm chances going forward today, there's another cluster of storms back near Omaha, and this is going to make its way towards central Indiana. But unlike yesterday when the front was moving through central Indiana, today it's stalled across northern portions of the state. So that'll be the best potential for just a few isolated storms, probably not as strong as yesterday and not as widespread. That is the good news. And I really think from Indianapolis southward throughout the day today, we're going to be completely dry. Temperatures are in the 70s. It's another summer-like day for us with above normal temperatures. Hazy sunshine this morning. We'll be up to 80 degrees already by the noon hour, and then climbing into the low to mid 80s this afternoon with just that spotty storm chance building in during the peak heating of the day. Nicole and Meredith.
Todd, thank you. Now to Madison County, where a huge effort will get underway once the sun is up to start cleaning up after a possible tornado.
The severe weather left behind downed trees and downed power lines all across Pendleton. That's where we find our Rafael Sanchez this morning. Rafael, you have been there all throughout the night as crews began this long repair process. Good morning.
Meredith and Nicole, good morning. It's quite a mess here, but the number one priority is to get the power back for all the homeowners and the businesses. This is Pendleton. We're about 35 minutes north of Indianapolis. Let me take you into the zone and show you the scope of this big problem. So this is one of the biggest problems right now in Pendleton. Down utility poles and power lines that are down. Now, we presume that these lines are not active, which is, we're not going to take that chance, but that is the problem. And our crews behind us are working on removing trees and restoring power. We ran across two guys, Christian and Greg. They're from the area, and they're passing out water to people who obviously are working hard, trying to keep them hydrated and obviously trying to give them something to drink while they're working so hard. Gentlemen, you saw last night's storm. Tell me about it.
Yeah, we were actually sitting up on 575 and 1050 and actually watched the tornado form and touch down twice while I was heading towards Pendleton.
And at this point, we don't know if it's a tornado or not, but we do know that it looked like a funnel cloud, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely looked like a funnel cloud.
And what did you make of it?
I mean, there wasn't much we could do. We started heading this way shortly after, just trying to help people and, see what we could do. We've been out here for about 5 hours trying to help as much as we possibly can.
And you're doing that now by passing out water. Everyone is just trying to do their part. Is this the way you're trying to give back while people try to get it all together?
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. This is one of our favorite communities. Everybody here helps everybody, and it's just amazing how this town comes together in need.
Well, I'm sure folks will appreciate the water, so I'm sure when you head down that way, be careful, though. There's some down power lines. We don't know whether they're active or not, but just so be careful as you help people. We appreciate what you do. I think everyone's just trying to do their part.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. Water will come in very handy today as people are working many, many hours to get this community back on its feet. If you look at the downtown area, this area has some power because of the generators, but the rest of Pendleton is in the dark. And the Hoosier spirit is alive and well this morning. Those two guys out and about passing out water. Here's more of the damage. This is the Methodist Church here along State Street. The steeple was really just, it's dangling, and there's yellow tape around the church building. They're going to have to replace that. Currently it's a danger, so if you walk along State Street right now, there's a lot of yellow tape warning people to be mindful that that could fall. That will need to be replaced. We talked this morning to Todd Harmison. He's the Public Information Officer for the Madison County Emergency Management, and he told us, he put this really all in perspective for us this morning. Listen to what he had to say.
I don't want to paint a picture of, all of these homes and just everything completely collapsed and rubble. We see devastating hurricanes and devastating F4, F5 tornadoes where you have homes that are just completely destroyed and families that have just completely lost everything. Fortunately, at this point, we've not seen that kind of destruction. It is good news.
Todd Harmison, who is taking a couple of minutes of sleep. He'll be back out this morning. And just a moment ago, we just heard that the Good Morning America team is here just about 2 blocks away from us. Let's go now. Our live team coverage continues with Storm Team 6's Alyssa Donovan, who's also checking out the damage here in Pendleton in Madison County. Alyssa, what are you seeing?
You know what, Rafael, we're just a few blocks from you down on State Street, and we are seeing quite a bit of extensive damage. I will say the main thing that we're seeing are downed trees, but big downed trees like this one right here. This is just outside of the public library. This one caught our eye as we were driving down State Street. You can see uprooted this huge tree, and I don't know if you can see the whole scope of it just because it's so dark outside right now, but this is a big tree, and that's what we've been seeing quite a bit of as we've driven down State Street. That's really most of what we've seen. We did drive through the downtown area as well. I will say that didn't seem to look as bad as some of those side areas that are mostly residential. So we are seeing quite a bit of damage there. The trees that we have seen down have not been on any structure, so that's the good news. Of course, we've seen pictures on social media that show otherwise. So what we're seeing is not quite the extent of the damage, but we are seeing quite a bit of damage just on this main road. And I will mention again that just along I-69, the exit to get to Pendleton is closed right now. So we had to double back, and as we did that, we took that Fortville exit instead to get here, and that took us through some of those back roads where we did see even more damage. A lot of it had been cleared off the roadways there, but some of those back roads have quite a bit of damage as well. So there's a lot of damage across the Pendleton area, and of course crews are going to be working throughout the day, throughout the week to get this cleared out, and they ask anyone that shouldn't be here should avoid the area so they can get everything done that they need to. I'll send it back to you, Rafael.
Storm Team 6's Alyssa Donovan, thank you so much. Should point out that there is no official curfew in place here in Pendleton, but they're asking people to shelter in place. In other words, if you don't have to go out today or for the next couple of hours, please don't do so, because they have to remove a lot of trees and debris from the roads. And also to help out my colleague Elena Martella, I-69 and State Road 38, which is this exit here, it's closed. So if you need to get to Pendleton for whatever reason today, you may want to get on at the Lapel exit, which is about 5 miles to the south of here. That is the latest from Pendleton. We will continue to monitor the situation and bring you the very latest coming up later this morning right here on Good Morning Indiana. Nicole and Meredith, now back to you.
Rafael, thank you so much. And we know there's a lot of work ahead. But as for the injuries, we know there was one person who was treated for a head wound last night, but that injury was not life-threatening.
We know that today the National Weather Service will be out surveying the damage to confirm reports that a tornado may be responsible for all the damage. For more on the severe weather, you can head to the IndyChannel.com or the RTV6 app. We've got the latest pictures and updates from officials as they work to get cleanup started this morning.
An important programming note: because of the tornado warnings last night, the new episode of The Bachelorette did not air. It will air in full this afternoon on RTV6 from 3 to 5 p.m. You can also log on to the ABC app and watch the episode anytime. Now we want to get back to the morning commute. Elena Martella is standing by now with a traffic update. Elena.
All right, thank you, Nicole. So as Rafael mentioned, the closure northbound and southbound I-69, those exit ramps to State Road 38, they're closed. So if you're heading towards Pendleton or coming to the city from Pendleton, you're going to need to take a detour. So what you can do, southbound drivers exit at State Road 109, head southbound, turn right to go westbound on US 36, left or right to go to State Road 38, or you can go northbound, exit on southbound State Road 13, turn left to go northbound on US 36, and then left or right, and that'll get you you to State Road 38. And depending upon your destination, that's what direction you're going to turn. Let's take a look at the roads right now. Here's a look at our live INDOT traffic camera. I-69 at State Road 37. You can see I-465. So traffic's moving along just fine for your morning drive. I do want to note that with all of that storm damage, our INDOT cameras aren't working in that area of I-69. So that just shows how powerful that storm was.
All right, the good news is that temperatures this morning are in the 70s and is nice and calm as far as storms go. There is no threat of any rainfall in the forecast here this morning. Just some partly cloudy skies making their way through Lafayette over towards Kokomo. It's mainly clear down to the south. With that said, though, there will be some storm chances once again later on this afternoon. You look back off to our west here in Omaha, and this has been the case really for the past week to week and a half with these clusters of storms just making their way eastward out of the Plain states and then through the Great Lakes states and eventually off towards the east. But with the front set up in northern locations today, that's going to be the best potential for just a spotty storm. They will not be as widespread as they were yesterday. In the 70s this morning, it's warm. We're going to see temperatures today climb up into the low to mid 80s, once again getting well above normal. And if you have plans this evening, the Indians back in town after being on the road for a couple games here. Should be a beautiful night at Victory Field, starting off in the 80s at 7 p.m. with a 7:05 first pitch. No threat of rain. Temperatures falling into the 70s as that game starts to wrap up. We'll talk more about your extended forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, the push to keep Hoosiers safe on the water this summer. The one thing officials hope you'll take with you before you jump in a kayak or boat.
Plus, celebrating 70 years of RTV6, Reed Duffy may be famous for his restaurant reviews, but one of his biggest passions was politics. The moments from the Indiana State House he will never forget, coming up after the break.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:14. Here's a look at I-465 at Ditch Road on the north side. Those flashing lights, some overnight road work is underway, but you can see it's not really impacting traffic. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update coming up in just a few minutes.
Elena, thank you. Now to some other non-weather related headlines across central Indiana this morning. Investigators are still working to figure out what led to human remains being found in a suitcase.
The discovery was made in a neighborhood on the southeast side yesterday afternoon. Police say they were called to the area after people walking near a creek along Villa Avenue near Raymond and Shelby Streets found the remains. The Marion County Coroner's Office will now have to determine a cause of death before police can figure out exactly what happened. The identity of that victim has not been released at this time.
As the summer season arrives and more people hit the water across central Indiana, officials are sending an urgent warning to be careful. There have been several drownings in just the last few days alone. Currently, there are 3 active searches for people who reportedly drowned, including a 4-year-old who was swept away in Adelphi Creek last week.
The water levels are elevated. The current is moving pretty swift. It's deceiving looking at it, but once you get in it, you understand the dangers.
Officials say many of these accidents can be avoided by just wearing a life jacket.
New this morning, a big paycheck is headed to Indy 500 winner Simon Pagenaud and the Penske Racing team. They will walk away with $2.6 million in prize money after Sunday's win at the Brickyard. That came from an overall purse of $13 million that was split among the racers. This marks the 18th time Team Penske has walked away with the winning check. Not too bad. All right, time now is 5:16. We want to get a check at the weather with Todd.
All right, yesterday, very active. Kyle and Kevin took you through the evening hours with all our reporters on the ground, then the behind-the-scenes staff as well, covering that severe weather for you. It's nice and quiet this morning. That is the good news, but I'll kind of just recap what happened yesterday. And I know these icons are kind of small, but these are all storm reports that are out there. Obviously, the red ones you see there are the tornadoes, but there was other wind damage and hail reports all across central Indiana as well. So I'll pull off the hail and the lightning and take a look at all these tornado reports across the area. Now, some of these will be eventually identified as the same tornado moving through, but I counted about 15 reports. We have the ones in Madison County. There was some in Peru County, Miami County, in the Peru area, rather. And then as you work your way into Grant County and just north of Marion, saw some pretty good video of a tornado on the ground. And then just at the top of your screen here, there's an isolated tornado report up in the Gary, Indiana area. So again, the Weather Service will go out all across the state today and break down down whether it was straight line winds or tornadoes, but based upon a lot of the videos I saw, we'll get numerous tornado confirmations here as the Weather Service identifies those later on this afternoon. So this morning we're just dealing with partly cloudy skies across the area, a little clearer down to the south. There's the complex of storms that brought the severe weather to central Indiana yesterday. It's now making its way towards Washington, D.C. Not as strong as it was here locally, but nonetheless, there could be some delays in Washington if you're flying there this morning. But we'll keep our eye on these storms off to our west. They're going to ride right along the warm front, which is now draped across northern portions of Indiana this afternoon. And there will be the chance of some isolated storms in northern locales. You can see Storm Prediction Center still has a slight risk near the Fort Wayne area. Back off to our west, the rest of central Indiana is just under the marginal risk for storms. So here's how it plays out. The daytime hours or the morning hours were just fine. As we get into the peak heating of the day, a few of these storms flare up. Again, the best chance will be in our northern counties, say from Tippecanoe County up into White County, Cass County, and eventually through Miami County off into Jay County in northern locales. I think from Indianapolis to the south, we should be in pretty good shape today with just dry conditions. So outside right now, it's warm. It's muggy, 73 degrees. Winds are out of southwest at 13 miles per hour. And all across the area, temperatures are in the 70s. Today, highs once again, very summer-like for most of us, in the mid-80s with some just cooler temperatures where those storms flare up near Peru later on this afternoon. And enjoy the sunshine today, because tomorrow morning we'll deal with more in the way of rain making its way into the area with temperatures that'll be a little bit cooler because of those rain chances, as we'll get up to only right around 80 degrees. Not expecting severe weather tomorrow morning, but there could be some locally heavy downpours that start to make their way through the area. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on. But as we work our way into Thursday, 75, and then into the weekend, storm chances will decrease with temperatures that'll be in the 70s.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Ditch Road up on the north side. You can see some overnight road work underway, but the good news is traffic is moving along just fine, so it's not much of an impact on your morning drive. We'll, of course, keep an eye on this area as we do get into rush hour, though. Let's take a look at the map. I've been telling you all morning those ramps are closed, those exit ramps from northbound and southbound I-69 to State Road 38, and this is because of storm damage. So what you can do to get around it, southbound drivers exit at State Road 109, head southbound, turn right onto westbound US 36, and then left or right onto State Road 38, depending upon your destination. Northbound drivers exit onto southbound State Road 13, turn left to go northbound on US 36, and again, left or right onto State Road 38. We'll let you know when it opens back up, but for now, you're going to want to plan ahead. And if you do have a deadline and where you need to be, you might want to leave earlier. Let's take another look at those roads. Here's I-465 at State Road 37, and this is also Harding Street down on the south side. All's moving along just fine. Just pay attention for any roadways that might be blocked or covered with debris.
Elena, thank you. This week, Channel 6 marks 70 years on the air. We officially signed on May 30th, 1949.
To celebrate this milestone, numerous former staff members have been sharing their memories with us. Most people remember Reed Duffy for his restaurant reviews called Duffy's Diner, but Reed was actually hired in 1971 as the State House Legislature and Politics reporter.
He remembers what he calls the profound impact Watergate had on Indiana politics at the time.
The evening that Nixon announced his resignation and leaving office and so on, Governor Bowen and then Mayor Richard Lugar both watched it from the governor's office and let the media in to record the historic moment. I found that very interesting. And then later that November, count them five incumbent Republican congressmen were defeated that night, strictly because of Watergate. So there was an exciting time to be covering politics and so on in Indiana.
Duffy brought wit, dry humor, and the artful turn of a phrase to all of his reporting. A perfect example from the 70s, summing up a story on the reigning in the amount of state paperwork.
So it appears Ed Howell and the Bowen administration have a semi-Herculean task in getting the state's paperwork situation under control. But then again, maybe I shouldn't talk. Just to do this hard-hitting story, I must provide 6 copies of each page I write. This one goes to our teleprompter. This one goes to Howard. This one goes to Ken. This one goes to our gifted director, Don Baker. And then this one goes to audio person Jim Shipp. And this blue copy here goes for my files and ultimately, I presume, the time capsule. When it comes to paper, Channel 6 News spares no expense to bring you the news. For the news, Reed Duffy, Channel 6.
Now, if that sign, a clean desk, is a sign of a frightened mind, is correct, Duffy is fearless.
He certainly is.
And coming up tonight on the news at 6, you knew Dionne Willis primarily as an anchor, but she was also a veteran reporter who cared deeply about the stories and people she covered. Tonight at 6, one story that had a profound impact on her.
And be sure to join us Thursday night when Dion and Clyde Lee lead us in a 1-hour special at 7 p.m. We hope you'll join us for 70 years together. RTV6 working for you. Stick with Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
That's why the bananas look so good at Meijer.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. The time now is 5:26. The severe threat has come to an end. There's no rain on Storm Team 6 radar here this morning, so it'll be a dry morning commute. And for most of you, it's a dry day, just a small storm chance across northern locations. And as a result, their temperatures a little cooler, a high of 79 today in Peru, where it stays mainly dry from Indy to the south. High temperatures will be in the mid-80s.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, severe weather pummeling Madison County, leaving a trail of damage behind. We have got live team coverage from Pendleton this morning, where the cleanup process is already underway.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy Group. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
We saw the spinning, and I turned around for like 3 seconds, and the tree in our backyard actually fell.
Storms and possible tornadoes tear a path of damage across parts of central Indiana.
This morning, team coverage from the hardest hit areas. But first, thankfully, today is going to be a calm day across central Indiana. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. We want to get right to Storm Team 6 meteorologist Todd Clausen. Todd, people will be out and about starting that cleanup process today.
Yeah, and the good news is all the storms are long gone. In fact, we don't have much rain in the forecast for the day today. Just some spotty storm chances as we get into the afternoon hours. I'll show you those in just a second. But here is radar confirming that there's no precipitation in the area. A little more in the way of cloud cover as you work your way to the north, say from the Tipton area over into Lake County up towards Gary and northwest Indiana, but completely clear this morning down to the south. And whatever cloud cover is out there, the sun should burn off pretty quickly once it comes up. As far as the storm chances today, they're back off to our west, but some of these storms will move right along the warm front that is near the Chicago area and make their way into northern Indiana. So the further north you are, the better storm chances you'll have throughout the day today. In fact, southern locales, I think you're completely dry. 74 in Bloomington, 73 in Indy, 71 in Peru. Here we go throughout the day. Temperatures are right around 80 degrees for the noon hour. At this point, we are still completely dry, and there are those storm chances that develop during the peak heating of the day from Monticello over towards Delphi, Peru, Kokomo, and eventually into the Fort Wayne area, but they shouldn't really sink much further south than that. So for most of you, it's a quiet day with a high right around 84 degrees. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Ditch Road up on the north side, and you can see there's some overnight road work underway, but all is moving along just fine. Let's take a look at the map. Those ramps are still closed, both northbound and southbound I-69 ramps to State Road 38. Southbound drivers exit at State Road 109, turn right to go westbound on US 36, left or right to return to State Road 38, and then northbound drivers exit onto southbound State Road 13, turn left to go northbound on US 36, and then left or right onto State Road 38, depending upon your destination. Let's take another look at those roads. This time we're looking on the south side, 465 at Harding Street. Everything's moving along fine.
Elena, thank you. Storms including a possible tornado carving a path of damage across central Indiana.
One of the hardest hit areas is the Madison County town of Pendleton.
Our Rafael Sanchez has been in Pendleton all night long. He is leading our team coverage this morning. Rafael, good morning. How are things looking now?
Meredith and Nicole, not any better. You know, on any given day, this stop sign here at the intersection of Water and Broadway would bring traffic to a stop. Now it's this down power line that is the problem. In fact, we are seeing this kind of thing throughout Pendleton because the trees just knocked down power lines throughout the evening when that storm rolled through. So this is a cause for concern throughout the Pendleton area, as well as the trees to the other side of this down power line, the trees that have either toppled or may fall throughout the day. Those are other concerns for safety officials here. Today will be all about recovery. Let me take you to the heart of the business district here in Pendleton, just a couple of blocks away, where, of course, they also there will have to do a lot of cleanup this morning. So many businesses here in the town of Pendleton may not be open today because of the lack of electricity. Wanted just to give you a quick overview of what it looks like down here. This storm really battered not only the homes and the trees across the street from the Postal Service, a number of businesses. I wanted to give you just a feel for what kind of damage these business owners will have to clean up. For example, this sign for the Boss Hair Studio at some point will have to be removed. It doesn't belong there. As we keep walking down the street by the Antiques and Barbershop, this is Burmeister's Old Town Antiques. Right next door by Treasures Old and New, we can see that there's some siding, some metal siding that fell off a building somewhere, and this too will have to be cleaned up. A lot of cleanup in order, not only for homeowners, for businesses throughout the Pendleton area. It will be a busy couple of days, weeks for homeowners and businesses. Again, this power line here at Water and Broadway, a major problem. Again, one of the many that we're seeing throughout Pendleton. Storm Team 6's Alyssa Donovan is also here with me as we continue our team coverage. Alyssa, what are you seeing on your end of town?
You know what? We saw quite a bit of those down trees that you were talking about, Raphael, but we decided to stop here at the Pendleton High School and see what's going on because this is the Red Cross designated shelter, and they have about 7 people as of right now in the shelter, but throughout the night they had about 15 stop by. The only reason some of those people have left is because they were picked up by family members to stay with them, or they were allowed back into their homes in some of those damaged areas. And we do have some of the video of that damage from last night that our crews got while they were out here just as that storm was moving through again. It came through right around 8:30 last night and caused quite a bit of that widespread damage. Now, I talked to the people here at the shelter, the Red Cross volunteers. They say the shelter is going to be open for as long as it's needed. They don't know how long that is right now, but they know they're going to be needed throughout the day today in terms of helping people with recovery. There's food, there's water here, there's a place to use the bathroom, there's power, which a lot of people don't have right now. Raphael mentioned that. They're also taking in pets here at the high school as part of the Disaster Pet Relief Project. So if you do have animals that you are trying to put somewhere while you are cleaning up your home, you can do that here. They have already taken in quite a few. They say they have a few dogs and a few cats. For now, I'll send it to Paris.
And good morning to you. This is some of the damage that we're seeing throughout Pendleton. This is along State Street here in downtown Pendleton. And you can see earlier with those storms that tree coming up out of the ground and taking out some of the power lines and utility lines here in the area. Now, crews have been working all night going door to door to make sure everybody is okay and starting to recover from some of this damage. We've seen a number of drones in the air as well, looking at the damage from the air so the utility crews and the first responders are able to see just how bad it is. We've also seen utility crews out and about trying to make repairs to electricity as soon as they can, but the emergency management here in Madison County telling us they don't expect to have power restored completely, at least for a few days right now. We're going to continue giving you the updates throughout the morning, but for now from Pendleton, we'll send it back to you.
Paris, thank you so much. Keep this in mind that South Madison County schools are canceled today. And another note, the people here in the town of Pendleton, they take a great deal of pride in their trees. In fact, this is a tree city, USA. And because of the storm, they've lost many trees and they'll have to replant them. In fact, if you go to Falls Park, it's just devastating. So a part of the character of Pendleton has been lost, but overall, you can replant trees and there were hardly any injuries overnight, which is the good news. We're live in Pendleton in Madison County. Rafael Sanchez, now back to you.
Raphael, thank you. We have put together multiple stories and a photo gallery of the storm damage across central Indiana. Look for it right now on the IndyChannel.com and the RTV6 app. In central Indiana, not the only place impacted by Monday's storm.
In nearby Dayton, Ohio, the National Weather Service says 2 suspected tornadoes hit the area just 30 minutes apart. The storms leaving behind so much damage, snow plows were called in to help clear debris off area interstates. The storms also caused damage to a church with people seeking shelter inside. The father of a child inside the church says he is so thankful everyone made it out okay.
You have to say it's an act of God that there were no injuries with the young people that were inside the church, even though the church received structural damage that can be replaced. But lives can't, and we just thank God that they were all safe.
The city of Salina, Ohio, was also hit hard by storms. City officials say a possible tornado caused significant damages and injuries. And Todd, that was the same exact line of storms that swept through Pendleton last night.
Yeah, it went through Pendleton, just north of Richmond, then across the state line into the Dayton area. In fact, it got a little stronger as it made its way into the Dayton area. And I think when all the assessments come out here, it'll probably be a weaker tornado in Pendleton, stronger tornado as you make your way into the Dayton area. But certainly a very active evening last night. This morning, it's nice and quiet. That is the good news for you as you start your commutes back into work after the holiday yesterday. 70s here this morning. We'll have plenty of sunshine to start off your day. There's just a few high, thin clouds to the north, but most importantly, we are completely dry across the area this morning. Now, this afternoon, it's out of the question. A few isolated storms will slide into northern portions of central Indiana, but most of us today should remain dry. It's another warm day as well, with temperatures running almost about 8-9 degrees above normal, with highs almost anywhere you go, climbing into the 80s.
Todd, thank you. 2 people shot on Indianapolis's east side. Breaking overnight, we're learning the condition of those victims.
Plus, a deadly virus is impacting thousands of dogs in the Hoosier State. Straight ahead this morning, how you can help prevent your pet from getting sick. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at Ditch Road on the north side. You can see some overnight road work underway, but everything's moving along fine. Time now 5:40. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Breaking overnight, one person is fighting for their life after a late-night shooting. The shooting happened just after midnight near New York and Randolph Streets. That's on the city's east side. IMPD tells us there were 2 people shot, including one person shot in the head. This morning, we're working to learn what led up to the gunfire.
The search is over for a man who had been reported missing on Lake Monroe. Crews found the body of 31-year-old William Snoddy. On Sunday, he was swimming behind a boat anchored near the Allens Creek State Recreation Area on Lake Monroe when he disappeared under the water. Conservation officers say he was not wearing a life jacket at the time. An autopsy is pending.
The search continues this morning for a missing South Bend man. Conservation officers say they believe 23-year-old Jacob Sandy was heading to kayak on Lake Michigan at the Indiana Dunes State Park on May 18th. Authorities believe they found Sandy's kayak 3 days later, but they still haven't found any sign of him. He was last seen driving a light blue PT Cruiser with Michigan plates. If you have any information on his disappearance, please call conservation officers.
Indiana lawmakers have a lot on their plate before next year's General Assembly session. All of them are topics impacting you. In the coming months, lawmakers will look at prescription drug prices, crime sentences, and taxes on vaping liquids. Those are 3 of more than 40 items that state leaders have assigned to committees ahead of the next legislative session. Lawmakers couldn't reach an agreement this spring on proposal to tax liquids used in electronic cigarettes.
Local animal shelters, rescue groups, and veterinary clinics are concerned about a deadly virus impacting dogs. Parvo is a highly contagious disease that spreads through infected fecal matter. It likes to spread in warm weather, so spring is prime time. Symptoms include being lethargic and not wanting to eat. The West Michigan Street Vet Clinic has seen about 80 cases so far this year.
They've got blood coming out of their mouth. They're defecating blood. I mean, it's horrific, and it is so sad because it's totally preventable. Totally preventable.
The vaccine to prevent parvo costs $10 at this clinic. They encourage all pet owners to get their animals vaccinated and treated at the first sign of symptoms, which greatly increases the chance of survival. It is 5:45 right now. Todd, a lot of people going to be happy to hear that things are calm this morning.
Yeah, there is no rain in the forecast here this morning. A few isolated storms will be possible this afternoon in northern locations, so keep that in mind if you are going to be out and about. But let's kind of talk about the storm reports. Most of them were all from Interstate 70 to the north, with tornado reports, hail reports, wind reports, some flooding reports as well. I'm going to pull off the hail and the wind reports and talk about these tornado reports here. And I've looked at a lot of videos on social media, a lot of pictures. A lot of you have sent them to me and RTV6, so we thank you for that. We appreciate that as well. And I think we'll certainly confirm a tornado later on this afternoon in and around the Pendleton area. And then there was this storm near Rochester and Akron, Indiana, that looked really, really impressive on video. So that's making its way through northern portions of Miami County. And then I saw another video with the tornado on the ground. You can see the funnel cloud and the debris coming up. So I'm sure one will get confirmed up here just north of Marion in northern portions of Grant County as well. So it was very active yesterday. Yesterday we were in the enhanced risk. We told you to be prepared. And unfortunately, we did have to deal with that severe weather. Now this morning, it's quiet. We have partly cloudy skies to the north. It's mainly clear down to the south, but off to our west. We do have more storms, and these storms, just like the ones yesterday, are going to be riding right along the front. Now, the front yesterday was still making its way through central Indiana during the peak heating of the day, and that's why we got some of the rotation within the storms. Well, today that front is stalled already across northern Indiana, so that's going to be in northern portions of the state that we have that trigger mechanism for some storms. There's a slight risk near the Fort Wayne area. Otherwise, we are under a marginal risk for severe weather here in central Indiana for the day today. So the morning hours are dry. Watch how some isolated storms flare up throughout the afternoon and evening hours with some heavier downpours, but we are not expecting any widespread severe weather later on tonight. Now it's mild. It's muggy once again this morning. Temperatures are in the 70s. Highs today will be in the 80s for most of us, just a little cooler where some of those storms flare up in northern locations later on this afternoon. And for the day tomorrow, unfortunately, we have to keep thunderstorms in the forecast. And tomorrow, a little better chance of severe weather. You notice how the Storm Prediction Center has a good chunk of central Indiana tomorrow under the slight risk for these severe storms as they come in. And some of these storms could be rolling in here throughout the morning commute and then redevelop throughout the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. So tomorrow, potentially a Storm Team 6 alert day for us with those storms moving through. Probably no storms on Thursday, but some scattered showers. And then it looks like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, pretty nice stretch of weather with just a stray storm chance over the weekend. Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. Those ramps are still closed heading towards Pendleton. Northbound and southbound I-69 exit ramps to State Road 38. To get around it, southbound drivers exit at State Road 109. Head southbound, turn right to go westbound on US 36, and then left or right onto State Road 38, depending upon your destination. Northbound drivers exit onto southbound State Road 13, turn left to go northbound on US 36, and then left or right to return to State Road 38. Let's take a look at the roads right now. Traffic moving a little bit slower up here on the north side because of some overnight road work. 465 at Ditch Road. If this is part of your drive, pay attention. If traffic does get pretty heavy this morning, use 86th Street as an alternate route.
Elena, thank you. This morning, cleanup from possible tornadoes is underway in Indiana and Ohio. Other parts of the country are dealing with dangerous weather as well. In Arkansas and Oklahoma, residents are carefully watching water levels along the Arkansas River. Officials are hoping 70-year-old levees will hold up. Residents have been warned to be ready to evacuate. In parts of the Deep South, a scorching heat wave is expected to continue through the middle of the week.
The search for a missing 5-year-old girl continues in Utah. Elizabeth Shelley vanished from her home early Saturday morning. She was last seen with her 21-year-old uncle, Alex Whipple. He is the main suspect in her disappearance and is in custody, but police say he is not cooperating with the investigation.
Everything he has done has been quite deceptive, and we have no reason to believe that anything he told us was accurate.
Elizabeth's parents say they continue to hope for her safe return. Meanwhile, Whipple is in the Cache County Jail on an unrelated warrant and drug-related charges. He is expected in court later today.
The Trending 6 is next on Good Morning Indiana. We'll show you how man's best friend can also be Wookiee's best friend. Two furry creatures sharing a moment with each other. That's coming up.
Healing power of Vaseline.
Before you head out the door, it is time for the Trending 6.
These are some of the stories that everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about.
The baseball world is mourning the loss of Bill Buckner. The all-star first baseman and outfielder was one of baseball's better hitters in the late 1970s and 80s, but he largely stayed out of the public eye after retirement. That's due to the death threats he received from Red Sox followers after a key error cost them Game 6 of the 1986 World Series against the Mets. His wife says Buckner died of Lewy body dementia. He was just 69 years old.
Malik Smith of the Seattle Mariners was running wild last night. In the 7th inning against the Texas Rangers, Smith stole second base. A few pitches later, Smith takes off for third base and is safe. Then the Rangers pitcher tries a pickoff throw to first. Smith takes off for home. The throw gets away, and Smith pulls off the rare stolen base cycle as Seattle wins 6-2.
If taking a submarine ride is on your bucket list, Uber can now help you out. Uber is launching Scoober in Australia, the world's first rideshare submarine experience. Scoober won't take you to the airport, but you can visit the Great Barrier Reef via the Uber app. The tours run from May 27th to June 18th, but this Uber isn't very cheap. It costs more than $2,000.
A Home Depot in Georgia is spreading love to a 2-year-old boy. Logan has hypotonia, a condition that impacts his muscle tone, which makes it difficult to walk. His parents found a tutorial on YouTube on how to make a walker out of PVC pipe. They went to Home Depot to get supplies, but the employees sent them out and surprised them by making the walker themselves.
Oh, he is just so cute. The makers of the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie have pushed back the film's release date. You may remember fans criticized the character's human-like teeth and skinny legs when the first trailer landed in April. So they'll keep working on it, but that will move the film's debut from early November to next Valentine's Day. There you go, date night, Nicole. The director tweeted they're taking a little more time to make Sonic just right.
A dog can be a Wookiee's best friend, too. Sparrow, the golden retriever you can see here, was taking some service dog training classes in Florida. Her family is from Britain, and while they were visiting Disney World's Hollywood Studios, they paid a visit to Chewbacca. As you can see, Sparrow was very interested in the Wookiee. The two became fast friends, and Chewbacca posed for pictures with the entire family.
Remember how I said last week that Gypsy was afraid of the stray cats that have made a home in our backyard? Could you imagine if she came across a Wookiee?
She'd be really scared, right, Todd?
She would be terrified, poor thing.
She'd never go outside again.
No.
She'd be in your closet for weeks.
Oh, months.
All right, outside right now, we're dealing with the quiet conditions. So that is great news after all the active and stormy weather last night, with temperatures that are currently sitting in the 70s. So no issues here this morning for your commute, at least weather-wise. And as we go throughout the remainder of the day, skies overall are partly cloudy for most of us. It's a warm day into the mid-80s. There's a small storm chance, and that's mainly for those of you to the north. So Lafayette, say to Tipton, over towards Marion, and points to the north. You'll have storm chances this afternoon, although we are not expecting any widespread severe weather.
Todd, thank you. Our team coverage of storm damage in the Hoosier State continues. Ahead at 6, our team is taking you to one of the hardest hit areas.